Welcome to Tennis Sucks, a pickleball podcast by Travis Rettenmeyer and Graham D'Amico. Big thank you to Rug Pack, which is our sponsor, the all-purpose bag for pickleball gym travel. We're here with special guest Sam Querrey.
To start, I got to say something to Travis he doesn't know about yet. I got asked to play an event with a top 5 female.
You've hinted at this. I still am not gonna believe this, and I'm gonna have to run through like who would possibly ask you, and why I haven't been asked, or Sam for that matter.
Yeah, so my pro career continues. Maybe a top 3 female mixed event coming up sometime soon.
PPA?
It's not a PPA.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, it does.
But it's an event, and I got asked, and I will be playing and probably bring home some cash.
Graham, there's like events where people go to unfortunate children for charity, and that's what this is.
All right.
You're a charity case.
It sounds like jealousy.
Could be. It might be.
All right. Well, I guess the first note that I'll ask is, Sam, why don't you tell us about your pickleball accomplishments? Or, unless, Travis, you have a other way of asking.
Yeah, Sam, why don't you run through the accomplishments in pickleball so far?
My personal accomplishments in pickleball?
Sorry, I couldn't even do it. Go ahead. Tell us.
I hear you laughing. I was the #1 overall pick in the MLP Challenger
That's
Draft
fucking true.
2023.
You were the first overall pick.
I was the first overall pick. I also an MLP in the third event. I helped my team make it to the semifinals.
And I believe you were fourth, right? The fourth best male. Is that correct, or first?
You mean amongst all the players?
Yes. I remember you showing you that.
14th overall.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. There we go. I've got wins in doubles over Pablo Tellez, Connor Garnett, Ryler DeHart.
Those are good wins.
Christian Alshon.
And you're doing this with Wes Burrows by your side?
Those wins were all MLP wins with
Ben John?
Yeah,
no,
with
Stefan Alverne. Yes, who's a good player.
Yeah, we were both good players out there during those wins.
I believe that. Wholeheartedly, I believe it.
You know what? If you think about it, those guys were picking on me a lot, and I was holding my own, and that's why we got the W's.
Graham can understand that.
I do.
So, I mean, I could go on, but that's what I got off the top of my head.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
The next question, are you ever going to get better?
Yeah, do you think you'll get better?
Yes, I do. I've been drilling more. Going into last year was my first year. I didn't know what to expect. I was playing like some MLP events, some PPAs, some APPs. This year, I've signed with the PPA. I know I'm going to play 15 events. There's a little more, consistency with the schedule. I know for the most part where I'm going to play. I'm going to play with more consistent partners. So yes, I'm going to get better.
Okay, so like basically we had this when you first came out. We watched the Tyson McGuffin podcast, and you said 3 months, which I'm sure you've been roasted on enough. 3 months, you'd be top 10. Yeah. And then Graham asked me, "What's your over/under on this?" And I said, "Never." Nothing against you, but that was my prediction. Yeah, just because I didn't know if you'd take it seriously, and I also didn't know if your skills would translate. What has been the biggest surprise for you in that transition of like, are the players better than you anticipated? Is the practice requirements more than you anticipated? What is that? What is it that you thought your foresight wasn't top shelf on, and you were looking at it like, oh yeah, because I had a similar view. I was like, oh, I'm going to walk in and kick the shit out of these guys, and they were better than I expected.
Yeah, I can't point to one thing. I do feel like the game, because it's evolved so quickly and there's so much more on the line and the prize money, even like right now compared to when I did that interview 16 months ago, there's so many more like better players on the men's side and women's side. That would have been like, like September 2022 when I said that. And at the time, if you would have looked at like a PPA event in like singles, there would have been like 18 guys playing it, and like 6 weren't even that good.
And like, how do you feel about the transition so far? Like rating it. Obviously, you've been playing now for, I don't know, about a year off and on, and clearly like had a really good time with it. But how would you rate it as far as like the transition so far from tennis to pickleball, from a physical perspective, an emotional perspective, an enjoyment perspective?
I really enjoy it. Playing emotionally, I really enjoy it. The hardest part is just like you can go 90% like pretty easily. that last 10% is just like hard to master. And I
Sure.
feel like when I played tennis, like the worst part of my tennis game was like my backhand volley and like creating on my backhand side, and that's such a big part of pickleball. So it's just taking me a long time to like figure out how to be aggressive and creative on my backhand side, and
So
that's like the
elaborate
number
on
one
that.
thing
Are you
I would.
talking about from the kitchen line? It's difficult for you to be creative from there?
Yes, and mostly like in the air. Like you see the top players able to take balls in the air and like flick it with topspin from the backhand, or just continually, mostly in the air volley side on the backhand. Just being able to be aggressive and creative on that side is what's taken me a longer time to master,
So
and
that's
that's been the
interesting. So you
hardest
actually
part.
find the backhand flick to be more challenging for you than other aspects of pickleball.
100%. And in tennis, I always said my entire career, like hardest shot in tennis is a backhand volley.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's
I
like,
like
but see, it's
never
funny because
felt
the
that
easiest
comfortable
shot for
with it.
me, right? Like that's literally the easiest ball for me. But the
Yeah,
hardest, like,
and in tennis, I could play an entire match and probably hit like 4 backhand volleys.
right.
Well, like in pickleball, like 40% of the shots are like creating and doing stuff on that backhand side, and you have to master it if you want to be good.
Okay, so let's go with that then. Do you think my theory was when you said you were going to be top 10 was your game style tennis wise wasn't the best option to translate. In fact, I said most of it doesn't translate. You drop bombs, hit, 140 plus on the serve, huge forehand, moved well laterally. I don't think those things have any weight in pickle. Do you think that's right? Do you think that's uh, a fair statement, and that there will be certain pickleball players, let's say like Jack Sock, who maybe are a little bit more dynamic, feel oriented, obviously was a more accomplished doubles player in some regard and has really good hands. Like, do you think that that's a fair statement, and there will be other players that have the appropriate style that transfer over?
Yeah, that's more than a fair statement. That's what it is.
Thank you.
And when I said top 10, I think at the time, yes, I believed it. I also had no clue like how a pickleball ranking worked, or if like there was singles rankings or doubles rankings
Right.
or mixed doubles rankings. Um, but yes, there was nothing necessarily. My tennis game, I came over to pickleball from tennis, just like, all right, he was a very good racket sport player at another sport. And there's other tennis players' games that are going to transition over better, like you said, people that have more feel, um, especially at the net, maybe a little more understanding of like on the doubles court, where to position yourself, where to move. And so I agree with you on that.
We were talking about this earlier about like height isn't as important in pickleball as it is in tennis. It's a much bigger advantage to be really tall like yourself in tennis than it is in pickleball. In pickleball, we feel like speed and agility are just as important as maybe length. And I don't know what your feelings are on that. Like, do you feel like being as tall
Yeah,
as you are is
again,
almost a detriment in pickleball?
agree. I mean, I wouldn't say like detriment, but agreed. The tennis court is, I don't know, 4 times bigger, and athletes now that are my size, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", are great movers, and they can all cover a tennis court no problem. Um, in pickleball, you don't need to do that. You're up at the line, and your movement's not a big part of the game. It's more feel and these nuances, and sometimes being a big guy, when people go at my body,
Right.
it's hard for me to get
It's a
my
big
limbs
target.
out of
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
also think like
exactly. I'm a big target. When I play pickleball, I like playing against other big guys because I'm like, oh, I want to speed up at them because like I know how I feel and I want to make them feel like that.
right.
So
He can't get out of the way.
agreed. I don't think there's pros and cons of the height in pickleball, but yeah, I think I would rather be a little shorter, I guess, if I really
It's
wanted to
strange
excel
to
at
say,
this.
but yeah, I feel that way sometimes. Like some of these guys, like Connor Garnett, or these guys that are super fast. It's like, yeah, they may not be the longest person, the tallest person, get the greatest angles, but they have a lot of advantages. I feel like over guys like us that are 6'2", 6'5", 6'6". There's some advantages.
Totally. I mean, if I was 6'1", I would be top 10. I just
That's the problem.
Then what would Bajinski do? What would Tropical do?
it's
Like
the height that's holding me back.
he'd have no content.
They have surgeries for that. You may be the first one to ever do it.
Go backwards.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
shorten
try
your
that.
legs.
Okay. So talk really quick about Jack Sock and maybe Donald Young a little bit and these other players that have transferred over. And are you familiar? First, how do you think they're going to do? And then are you familiar with any other players that are making that transition as of now?
Yeah, so I'll start with Jack Sock. Jack is good. As we all know, last year he played the one event in North Carolina, won it with Annalie Waters in singles, maybe made the quarterfinals. Didn't maybe beat anyone of
Of note.
of notoriety then, but people knew he was good. And Jack's, I know he retired at the U.S. Open last year, but he's been playing pickleball like a lot for the last 16 months, and basically walked into his first tournament a couple weeks ago in the desert and I don't know, overperformed. I maybe did better than people thought. Semifinal of the singles, quarterfinal of the mixed, maybe round of 16 of the men's doubles. But Jack is good. Jack
Do you think
is
Jack is overhyped a little bit at the moment? Do you think he's going to be good? Because I have like a.
No, I disagree. I disagree. I don't think he's overhyped.
You don't think so?
I literally think Jack is a top 10 overall player
Sure. Okay.
in the
So
game.
let's go
I
with,
know it's hard to judge that, but like he's played one tournament and like he's just into it. He's got the feel. He's got the game. He's got like that bit of like arrogance and cockiness that he believes he is
the best.
Truly believes he is better than every other player out there, which is going to help him.
Right.
And yes, I think he's going to establish himself as like, regardless of what the rankings are, I think everyone will just know like, yeah, Jack's one of the top 10 best players.
Well, so I have an issue with, but see the top 10 to me, it's overhyped. Like is Jack going to be a top 3 men's doubles player? And I'll give you my caveat really quick. To me, the best left side men's players in the next 12 to 16 months will all play 2 hands off the backhand dink 70% of the time. You can't, like if you go cross-court dink with James Ignatovich, it's almost impossible to win that rally, which is why Ben is now adding it. I mean, I realize Jack is hyper athletic, like a fucking freak. And he runs around and hits the forehand, but I always think he's going to be at a disadvantage unless he can learn to roll the 2-E dink. And I think he was exposed from my perspective a little bit, always in the men's doubles, where dinking is infinitely more important than mixed or singles hitting the backhand dink.
Yeah, that's extremely accurate. I didn't watch him play the men's doubles over the weekend, but yes, you're absolutely correct. And I would agree with you. Like the James Ignatowicz, Connor Garnett's, Ben Johns, Riley, like those 2-handed shots. If the game's getting more and more aggressive, and if you can't create off everything, I think it's going to be hard. So yes, I guess fast forward 12 months, if I had to say, will Jack Sock be a top 3 or 4 men's doubles players? I'm going to say no. Okay. I'm going to put him more in the like 7 to 10 range.
That's where I got him to.
His other advantage over you guys is that he's younger, right? And he's more recent out of his tennis career, and he's getting top-notch partners right out the gate. He's probably going to get a number 3 guy partner. He played with Anna Lee. You know, like there's a huge advantage to both those things.
And playing with Catherine's not bad.
You know, you're right. And so he's 31. He's got a lot of life left in his body to run around the court. Donald Young. Donald is really good. I mean, we all kind of know him from tennis, like lefty, great feel. I think if he were to put his head down and focus on this game and put in the practice time and the full tournament schedule, I think he becomes a guy that's just in the mix, consistently winning 2 or 3 rounds at every event in singles, doubles, and mixed. I don't know for sure, but I believe he's still playing tennis for part of this year.
See, to me, I have him rated like if he was to play just based on his skill set in tennis, the fact that he does have sick hands, a nice kind of like tight, compact little 2-hander, and then obviously could roll the ball on both sides. I have him, I don't want to say better than Jack, but right fucking there. Like as the best lefty in the game by a comfortable mile. Because who else do you have there? There's not a lot of really good lefties, maybe outside Pablo and Tyler Loom. But Donald to me has like a skill set that would translate really, really well if he applied himself.
If he applies himself. That's I don't know. I don't know if he's planning on it, not planning on it, but I agree with you to a point. I think if he applied himself, he would be really good. I still think that like Jack was just in another level than he would be if they both applied themselves, both went all in.
Fair enough.
I think Jack is much better.
I think the thing I love about Jack is he's the one guy who I see that like it looks like he genuinely loves playing. Like he's very intrigued by the game.
If I showed you like the group chat between like me, him, John Isner, and Steve Johnson, or just my chat between me and him, it's 90% pickleball for the last 4 years.
That's fantastic.
I mean, the dude's obsessed with it. He's got a court at his house. He's watching highlights.
Yeah.
Last year I would be playing a tournament and he's texting me like, how do I watch this on YouTube? Like he's into it.
Speaking of, that's one
He
of
lives
Graham's
for it.
biggest like problems with the PPA is they have varying broadcast stations, and it always is a disaster to try to find
Yeah, I
out where to
know.
watch
I
it.
sent you the schedule today. Do you see it?
Yes,
It's like
but
from 9 to 10,
you
watch
can
here. From 10
always
to 11,
watch
watch here.
center court on Pickleball TV, always, and then generally Grandstand is on YouTube.
But the problem with Pickleball TV is you don't know which match you're getting.
No, you don't. Of course not.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to want to
Hopefully they
watch
figure
the
it
people
out.
they like. So they're looking for, like, I'm looking for Travis Rettenmeyer and Sam Querrey. I don't know when I'm going to find them. I got to watch for 8 hours and hope that I catch catch a championship court match with them. It's tough.
And then I guess part 3 of your question was like any other tennis players that I think or know that are going to come over and play. Right now, the answer is I have no idea, and none that I can think of. I mean, I still think in tennis, assuming you're 30 years of age or younger and you're top 150 in the world in tennis, probably tennis. There's much more upside. I mean, no offense to pickleball, it's way cooler to play in Wimbledon or the Australian Open, than to go play the PPA Hyundai Masters.
Just a touch.
So I, you know, I think it's going to be more of like those good college players that are like, look, I'm not going to make it in tennis, but I can go over to pickleball and within six to 8 months, actually, like kind of maybe make a name for myself.
Yeah, what do you
So
think about the Kwong Duong kid? Were you familiar that kid won Orange Bowl 16s last year? And then,
yes,
like
I
that's
was.
insane,
I couldn't.
Right?
I mean, for most people don't necessarily know this. If you win the Orange Bowl, you're for the most part one of like the 5 best juniors in the world. And if you look at the history of Orange Bowl winners, like a lot of them go on to be top 100 tennis players.
Right.
So for him to win that and basically just like quit cold turkey and hop into the pickleball scene was a huge risk that seems to be paying off for him so far.
But do you think he would have made it in tennis, like judging by his body type and his style? Because I watched highlights when someone told me that. Because someone told me that, I was like, "That's not possible. You're wrong. No one wins the Orange Bowl and stops playing." But it looks like, judging from what I watched stylistically, it's the right decision. He would have been like a D1.
I've never seen him hit a tennis ball, so
Okay.
I can't comment on that. But
Gotcha.
yeah, and for guys too, so much can happen between the ages of like 16 to 22. Like who knows if he would have like gone on to be a good tennis player, but
Right.
he switched over to pickleball. He's good at pickleball. He was luckily playing at the right time where I'm assuming he signed a pretty lucrative deal with the PPA.
Right.
And so he seems to have made a good decision for himself right now.
Your wife is what's Abby, correct? Is her name?
Correct.
And she is a big part of your social media. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
So who came up with the idea, which for me is the best video in pickleball comedy history, is the draft one where you have the chain and you can't return it? Was that her doing or yours?
Yes. So
and did you actually think you were going to be drafted premier, or were you well aware that was not in the cards?
You're talking for the second draft?
Yes, for the second draft. I want to go through the video, and then did you actually think you're going to be drafted?
Okay, so first the video, yes, that was I would kind of give her 90% of the credit. I think it was her idea. She comes up with a lot of the little sketches in there. I obviously kind of feed off it, but she is the mastermind behind most of the videos. And yes, that video was incredible, and we had to pivot because I was 100% certain I was getting drafted in Challenger. And so I had different.
I was honestly, we should have drafted you. When I watched you play Vegas after, and I texted you and I was like, you were playing very well. I was disappointed that we didn't take that shot.
And I was coming off like the San Clemente, where I was like legitimately like one of the 10 best guys, and so we kind of had the video ready, and then we had to pivot and change the ending last second because in like the biggest shock of the century, I didn't get drafted to the Challenger League. We had to pivot, but in the second part of your question, like, no, I did not think I was going to get drafted to Premier, but there was a 5% part of me that was like, you know what, maybe I might.
Someone might take a shot. Like, again, I said this truthfully. When you played the match against Arnold and Thomas Wilson with Zach the Redhead, you were the best player on the court. I meant that.
I know. When you told me that, I felt like it was sincere. And like, there's times during the year where like I feel like I'm really good. So that like, that was one of my better matches. But yeah, going back to the video, that video and most of the other ones are predominantly my wife coming up with the ideas and filming and editing and stuff like
Well,
that.
she does a great job. I mean, I'd have you as probably the funniest guy in pickleball as of now. The banter is good. You obviously get destroyed often, but you handle it very well with tropical and memes. Do you laugh at that
Just
when you see it?
destroyed.
Like, do you look at it and be like, God, that shit's funny? Or do you go, like,
Yeah,
these assholes, here they go
but
again?
it is tough. I feel like essentially every pickleball tournament I walked into this year, I stepped foot on the site, take just a punch to the face, and then like you get your day going because like I was just a target on my back from day one, and the
Just a zinger right
the
away. You're also,
the
you're
meme
not,
stuff is so good. Like I don't know who runs the memes, but I mean I was their I feel like their number one featured player this year,
for
probably or
sure.
last year. Um, and the stuff is funny, and I wish sometimes I get a little credit for a couple of the wins, but look, those two memes and tropical are both like hilarious, and as much as I like don't want to give them the I don't want to give them the results and like the play that gives them the access to make fun of me. I just unfortunately I have, and it just it stings. It does. I'm not gonna lie, it stings.
Okay, well, how do you feel you'd do if you had Riley Newman on your right or played with Riley? How is the Riley Newman Sam Querrey duo doing? Because obviously, like the partner is a huge part of this. You know, like that's the
Huge
reality.
part. Consistently making like quarterfinals or better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's real.
Did you see the tropical
Yeah.
ball one where Sam, I think, genuinely sent like a family Christmas photo to Nick?
Yes.
And then
They
Nick just
trashed it.
walked it and put it in the trash. He's like, I'm going to put this right up here, right here for you. Just
Goals.
dropped it
I
in the
mean,
trash
honestly,
can.
when tropical the first like 6 months I was started playing, I didn't know who he was, and it was just like every 4 days I'm like, who is this guy? Like, why is it every freaking 4 days he's just absolutely trashing me? And then and then it kind of turned out to be like not that we have like a there's like a somewhat of a little friendship there.
For sure.
And
We've known Bags a
I
while.
actually love the videos.
Bags is a character. We've known him for quite a while. So we're
Oh, he's
fans
great.
of him, and everything is always done in good fun. I don't think the guy has a harmful bone in his body.
I also
Oh yeah,
love,
yeah, for sure. And he's the first guy. He's not going to admit it and make a nice video about me. He's the first guy that'll text me if I ever win one of those matches. Like, dude, sick playing. Like, you played great
Right,
today.
right. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, it's good that he does both.
I also love the match. You were tournament champions, and Travis and I got to watch it. You played singles against
Hayden.
Hayden Patrick.
Beat him. You beat Hayden,
You
right?
beat him. It was a great match.
I mean, it was a backdraw match, but yes,
They're
yeah, I
not
beat him.
relevant. Win's a win.
We were timeless before, but you had a moment where he was saying about timeouts, and you were like, "You can have all my timeouts. I don't need them."
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
He's
that.
like, because he yelled at you because you were like on a 7-point backspin, and he was like, "Hey, might be time for a timeout," and you responded back, "Hey ref, give them both my timeouts. I don't need them." And then you went on to win the match.
Yeah, that's
I
where you
wish
had
they
the
would get
flying
rid of
J.
timeouts in pickleball. I can't stand the timeouts.
I don't like it either. I think it's stupid, but I will tell you, they're very in the beginning. I was 100% against them. They are extremely valuable. I hate it.
They're so valuable.
They're
Yeah,
so valuable.
I hate that you can ruin momentum with them.
Yeah, likewise. But that's where you had the flying J, right? Where you had to have your wonderful
Yeah,
shower.
there's no,
experience.
as you know, that site, there was no like locker room. I
Oh.
had like a flight that night. I'm like, where do you take a shower? And like, I stopped at the at the truck stop.
Yep, had to do it. I want Graham to read this one. This is Graham's. This is Graham's.
Is it
okay,
really?
so I apologize. For
Okay.
Oh yeah, we wrote this probably a long time ago. You think it's the greatest fleecing in sports history that you got paid by Franklin and Fila such large numbers? And
Do I think it's the greatest fleecing?
Yeah, did you fleece them? Like basically it's like a contract of a guy who got drafted first, but never got off the bench.
All right,
And
No,
also, sorry,
this
second
contract-
part to that. Did you think
the,
you probably
the contracts were done? How do you even know what I'm getting? You don't even know what the contracts are.
We
I
know
could just
who
be
you
doing
are.
whatever it
product only.
is?
They're product only. They're product only contracts.
Product only my ass.
Look, At the end of the day, both those companies are trying to sling paddles and sling merch. However they can do it, that's what matters.
And the
If I
truth is,
never win a pickleball match, and Franklin and Fila are selling millions of paddles and millions of clothes, I'm not saying they are because of me, then that's all
but
good.
maybe they are.
And they can pay me a ton of money, and I can win every match. And if they're not selling paddles, it doesn't matter. So, and to the other point is, I signed those contracts before I was the number 1 overall draft pick. And
Are there bonuses in those contracts?
In my Fila contract, there are bonuses. Yes.
Have you hit one?
No, I've never made any prize money on the pickleball tour yet.
Shit.
I'm gonna hit one. But
say it again. What was it?
It hadn't happened yet.
What was it?
Look, I know this is a bad take. I have been a little bit of victim of difficult draws in 2023.
I'll give you that. Yes. And we
I
said
never had an opening anywhere. I was just tough draw left and right. I don't know if that was like how these draws work, but there was never an opening for me ever. Like,
well, you've also, again, the partners. I would like to see you alongside a guy that's like a dominant player, as opposed to where you're coming in as the dominant player. That's challenging to do.
I shot my shot early and was getting shut down, so there was no lack of trying.
Did you? I've tried my ass off too because I want to move to the right. We actually put out well, what do we call it?
Like an offer.
We put an offer out basically for like 6 guys that I want on the left because I'm old as shit. I want to move to the right side. And I said, if I don't make a final with one of these 6 players on the left in the first 5 events, then I will pay $10,000 to any player that gives me 5 events and not even a nibble. Not even.
Wow.
I know. 10,000 cash. I said, if I play the right.
I want to play the right. I want to play the right side too. Otherwise, I'd maybe think about it.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing on the left. And the interesting thing is, you're unique in that on the left, kind of like Tyson, you slide left and guard with the forehand as opposed to guard with the backhand. That's very bizarre to me.
Yeah. So you couldn't pay someone essentially to play with you?
No, I couldn't pay people. I can't pay good players to play with me. And I had Hayden, and all of them have partners, and no disrespect to their partners. But we were like, okay, with these 6 guys, because I feel like I'm an old guy playing on the left, and I have a terrible backhand relative to James, these guys who can roll the 2-y, and I just get eaten up on that portion. The rest of the game is fine. My little slice dink gets shit on. And so I was like, okay, if I can move to the right and roll a forehand dink, I'll do fine. Here's the 6 guys I want to play with. Not even one. Like, yeah, I'll give you.
Would you play with me the entire year if I gave you $20,000?
Add a 0. 75.
You say 0. What's the number for you to play with? What's the number with you to play 20 tournaments with me going forward?
Wow. 20. This is my agent here. I'm gonna have to talk to him about it.
Who's playing right side? You have him playing.
I'll play whatever.
I have to play the right. I got to switch to the right, but you got to work on a 2-handed backhand dink.
All right.
Okay. Are you playing all with Wes as of now?
Yeah, I'm planning to play, let's say, 15 to 17 tournaments this year, and I bet like 12 to 13 will be with Wes.
Okay, well let's suit one up. I'd love to suit one up.
And you know what? I'm looking to play. Wes can't play the North Carolina PP. I'm looking for a partner there.
I'm already set. I'm set through like Seattle.
That's in like July.
I know.
I'm available for North Carolina.
Nah, I'm good, Graham.
All right.
I know I can get someone better than you.
You're the first top 5 pro that turned me down.
Graham does have the floppy wrist and some of the best resets you've ever seen. But let me tell you, if that ball's shoulder height or above, you better run the fuck over and take it from him.
I'm going to send some feelers out. If I get desperate, I'll shoot you a text.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, but I'd like to do it, Sammy. I'd love to play 1 or 2. That would be fun.
Yeah,
How much are you practicing as of now? How much pickleball is being played by the Querrey on the reg?
4 days a week.
Fucking A, that's great. And you have good players, right?
And that's a combination. I would say like once a week I'm drilling with like Wes or someone, and the other kind of 3 days are like playing. I think if I really wanted to excel, I would need to flip that and like maybe drill 3 days a week and play 1 day a week.
Okay, so last question on this, as far as at least your pickleball play for the moment. What do you think holds you back? Like you said, creating on the backhand side, but what do you think is like outside of that? What prevents you from? Is it like the soft game? Is it the speed ups? Like the hand speed is really quick. Is it the deception that players have? Like, what is one particular skill that you look at and you're like, outside of the backhand flick, damn, I'm just not good at that. Like this is
I
preventing me.
can't think of one. It's just like all these top players are 10% better than me at like every little thing in the kitchen.
Uh huh.
Their dinks are a little better. They're a little lower. Their hands are a little quicker. The way they like their speed ups are placed, in an awkward spot. I might speed up right at someone's chest, but they might speed up like,
Right shoulder.
high to the right side.
Right.
So I just feel like everyone's just whatever, 5 to 10% better at every little skill in the kitchen.
Okay. So you got 15 to 17 events.
What about the reason why more people aren't watching
Yeah, that was where I
pickleball?
was going. So do you think pro pickleball will make it as a spectator sport? One. Two, do you think the PPA format or the MLP format is better for viewership long term? And if you were running the show, if you were the commissioner, what would you do to ensure that we got media rights and eyeballs on pickleball based on its current standing?
I don't have good answers for those. Like,
You're probably better than
I
you
don't
think.
know how to get more people to watch it. I know, like, whatever the number was, 35 million people played it last year, but 3,000 people stream a match,
Right.
which is a bad number for how many stream it. So, like, I'm bullish on pickleball, assuming that someone can figure out how to get more eyeballs to watch it. I don't have any ideas off the top of my head, but hopefully some smarter people than me can figure it out. If that doesn't change, then I can see pickleball being a little bit of like a bubble here. And hey, it was really exciting for 5 years, and it kind of got on TV. A ton of millions of people play it recreationally, but the professional pickleball side of things was kind of hot for 5 years, and it's cooled off, and people play, and that's it. So I think it's a big issue, and hopefully someone can figure it out. If I had to change one rule, I like PPA over MLP, and that switched. Originally, I used to like MLP, but I like the PPA format now, and I'm not just saying that because I signed with
Sure. No, yeah,
PPA.
I
I
believe that. Yeah.
do think that's a better
Why?
product. I wish it was rally scoring though. I'm a fan of the rally scoring. I think it's easier for people to follow. I think that would maybe draw in some more eyeballs. But that's like the one thing I would change. But I know I'm like in the minority with that amongst the players.
No, I'm with you on the rally scoring. My thing is that the general people that I play with, rec players, they get tired of the dinking. So a thought that we've had is that you implement like a shot clock, essentially 20 seconds
Yep.
before you have to speed up or create something, or maybe the point has to end, let's say in 25 seconds. But that way you don't have, and I think the Johns brothers are the biggest victims to this is they're incredible dinkers and they will slow it down 80, 90 balls in a row. And it's boring as shit, especially if you don't understand the nuance and the subtleties of the dinks that they're hitting. It's like, I could do that. And that's what people tell me is like, they watch and like, well, I could do that. And they don't watch LeBron James and think, well, I can do what LeBron does. So it's not really like, wow, what an athlete, or wow, that's really impressive. There's nothing like that.
Yep. No, they're spot on. I totally agree. And I'm in favor of the sport is still new and it has a lot of momentum. I'm in favor of them implementing new rules and trying them. Let's try a shot clock here. And I know the players hate change. They're going to complain about it. They're going to bitch about it. But just do it. If it doesn't work, get rid of it and then try a new rule and see if something sticks. I feel like tennis didn't do enough of that when I played. When I was playing, and you might have been playing this too. I don't know if you remember when they went to the round robin format for an event. And ultimately, it didn't work, but I like that they tried it. So
Right.
I hope pickleball and the PPA Tour try more of these rules, despite what the players probably are, not liking most of them, and seeing if one of them helps or one of them sticks.
What did you think about the rule change in Palm Springs, the serving rule?
I thought it was a little annoying. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but again, I like that they
They're
tried
trying.
it. And I think they're getting rid of it. Is that I hear that right?
And no, I think they're still using as far as I know. I hope they get rid of it because I
Oh,
just
all
thought
right.
my issue was that the whole problem with the naval was that it made it really subjective for every individual ref to make a call that was hard to make. And now you made it more difficult for the ref to make a call.
Yeah, I think they need to figure something out with the serve. Where's the hip line? There's gray area. I don't know if the rule is just, hey, the ball, you got to bounce the ball on the ground and then anything goes. But I
That's what I think
think
they should do is
the
drop hit it.
pickleball, Yeah, whoever's going to make up the pickleball rules needs to come up with the rule at the serve where it's just a very black and white rule, and it's obvious and easy for umpires to call one way or the other.
Really quick, Graham, who's the player that asked you? Did you say that already?
No, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it to myself. Just know it's a top five player in the world, and they want me to
There's
play.
no way that. Yeah, but it's like you said they asked you to play like it's like a little event at their club or something. Like what?
It's an event.
It's a hit and giggle.
It's an event, and I don't think they invited you guys. It was me. That's the partner to win that. So.
I can let me tell you right now. If Ben Johns or Annalie Waters called me and was like, "Hey, I've got a little 8-man tournament at my club in Florida next Sunday. You want to play?" I would say no.
I would say no.
Hey.
My time is valuable.
All
My
right.
time is valuable.
All right. Another jealous guy on the pod.
God, Sam,
Yeah,
I'm
I
still
don't
going
think
back to your question. How much would I charge for a Querrey partnership? What are you paying Wes?
I'm not paying Wes anything.
French fries and
I should be paying him something, but he's just a good friend.
he's a good. You guys have been friends for a long time. So for those that don't know, Sam and I've known Sam since what? You were probably 9 years old. Is that about right?
Yeah, I was gonna say 10, but yeah.
Yeah, 9 or 10. I mean, Wes even a little longer. Used to practice with Sam a little bit at the Calabasas swim and racket. Back when you were using, what was that thick Prince you used to use?
The Diablo?
That's the one, baby. The Diablo. That was like the
Sure,
thick
a lot of
light
pickleball
one, right?
fans
That
know
was the
that.
light one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the light one with the holes in the side.
Do you
Okay.
still watch tennis? Or like, are you still really into tennis? Do you play?
No, I watch the majors, and I don't go out of my way, but during like Wimbledon, U.S. Open, Australian Open, before I go to bed, when I wake up in the morning, I'll turn the tennis on and watch the majors, and then I would watch like a friend or like one of the Americans. But other than that, no. Like I don't even know what tournaments are going on right now. Like, no, I don't turn the tennis channel on right now and watch like random
Do you
250s.
watch pickleball at all?
Yes,
Which
again,
one do you
kind
watch
of
more?
more of the same like tennis. Like I'll watch like a big match. If Riley Newman and Thomas Wilson are playing the Johns and I'm home, like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna go search for that on one of the 5 platforms that it could be on.
Right.
Um,
Are you still playing
and
tennis?
then and then I like watching in person. If I'm at the tournaments, like I like to go kind of watch and float around and see what guys are doing.
Do you ever hit balls anymore? Do you ever take out the old Babs and strike balls?
Yeah. I'm actually going next week, the Delray Beach Tennis ATP 250. I'm playing like the Champions event. So I'm playing Tommy Haas in a tennis match like
Wow.
next Sunday, and then 2 doubles matches against the Bryan brothers. So I actually hit tennis balls on Monday, and I'm hitting tennis balls again tomorrow to just make sure I'm capable.
Does the arm hurt at all or no problems?
No problems. I get so like the other day I hit for the first time in maybe 2 months, and my like shoulders are a little sore.
Right.
And I more so just get sore easier.
Go ahead, Graham.
It sounds like one of those 8-person hit and giggles down in Miami you're going to.
Yeah, exactly. The top 5 guy asked me to play doubles there.
Hey, if the Bryan brothers asked me to come play that Open in Miami, you know what I'd say? No. My time is valuable.
All right. So last question, tennis related. Who are the guys you watch now? If you do, is there somebody you tune into? Like for me, I like watching the Shelton kid. I think he's fun to watch. Alcaraz, obviously.
Yeah, so for me, if Alcaraz, Djokovic, and Sinner are the only like 3 players where I'm like, all right, what time are they playing tomorrow? Like, I want to watch them.
Uh-huh.
And especially if they play each other. If Djokovic plays Alcaraz, I feel like right now, or maybe even I could put Sinner in there, or Djokovic Sinner. Those are the only matchups where I'm like, I'm gonna try to go out of my way to watch that.
Yeah.
And then as far as others go, like I kind of want to watch all the Americans, like Ben Shelton, Francis TFO. I love Tommy Paul.
Yeah. Tommy's fun to watch.
I don't know, Taylor Fritz, Sebastian Corda. I'll really watch all of those young Americans if they're playing. They got to be playing a big match. I'm not going to tune in to watch like a first round, but if they're playing a second, third round in a Masters series, I'm gonna watch it.
If you had to pick one tennis player that switched over to pickleball and you're like, they're the best player ever, who is that player?
If you asked me that 2 years ago, it's Jack Sock. Jack Sock is the best person to switch over.
That's what Travis said.
That's what I thought. I think the game has changed though in pickle, like you said, even in the past 2 years. Nobody had a two-handed dink until a year ago. And then people started rolling the two-handed dink and it was like, oh shit, this is gonna get weird.
There's on the men's side, there's not one tennis player I can think of that would like switch over right now and make a huge impact.
Okay.
Or any impact, not one. On the women's side, I think there's more opportunity on the women's side. I can't think of any like WTA players off the top of my head, but I'm a little more confident, be willing to bet that I could poach some like female players from the WTA, put them over on the women's pickleball tour, and they would make an impact. But on the men's side, like there's not one. I don't think.
Yeah, I've always said it would be more like doubles guys for the most part that I think would have a quick transition. Guys like, Salisbury or something who reads the play really early.
But then like a lot of the doubles guys, it's like a lot of those guys are like 36, 37, 38 years old. Right. And it's just a little tougher when you're competing against guys who are like 25, 26, 27.
Are you surprised at how physically, like, I don't know, challenging is even the right word, but pickleball singles, like how jarring it is on the body because the movements are so quick and agile?
I'm not surprised because I knew it, but it's pickleball singles is hard. I mean, I like playing it because it's a good workout at home.
Same,
but, especially when it's not the progressive draws, as someone who's got a lot of, I guess, a lot of play under his belt in tennis over these years, I struggled with the, like, play a match and, like, wait 20 minutes, then go play a match and, like, wait 30 minutes. By the time I got to, like, the third match, my body was just, like, feeling like garbage.
Yeah, same.
So I'm a fan of these progressive draws, but singles pickleball, if you played 2 straight hours of singles pickleball and 2 straight hours of tennis, it's comparable from a physicality standpoint.
No question. I've done the data, like actually worn the thing on my watch and like what my heart rate gets to, what my calorie burn is, and it's comparable.
Yeah, absolutely is.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else?
I don't think so. Luke, Sam, you got anything?
Oh yeah, I got one. What was your take on Jeannie Bouchard? Do you think that she will now overtake you on memes and tropical? Will she get ripped on more this year than you?
Yeah, and so that look, I was kind of happy about that. Like the target's off my back. I can play free. My results will come now.
You can play real loose.
Look, I've known her for a long time. I talked to her before the matches. Like she was nervous. I think like she knows like there was a lot of people watching. Spotlight on her. She'd never played before. A tournament. I don't think she had practiced that much.
No, she hadn't. You don't have to think. She did not.
I'm assuming. Yeah, I think that was probably a pretty humbling experience for her. I'm gonna guess that she's gonna, between now and I'm assuming Mesa might be her next one, probably go practice a lot so she doesn't embarrass herself.
Right.
Because I think she wants to be. I think she wants to be good. I hope she goes to practice a lot more, so she can go out and be a little more formidable. But that's what you have to do. You can't just go out there once every couple weeks and practice and think you're going to go out and do anything at this level. Like she needs to put in 3-4 days a week of like pretty hard practice with good players.
Yeah, no, these players they're taking it very seriously these days and hitting a lot of little wiffle balls around and getting very, very good and adding shots.
I'm cheering for her. I don't want to watch her go out there and like, do what happened or watch Palm Springs again. Like I felt for like I want her to go out and practice and be formidable and lose with some dignity.
Do you have any take on Maria Sharapova?
On her game?
Well, she signed with Franklin, obviously.
Yeah, they get all the best players from the tour.
I've said she'd be terrible. You said you were going to throw darts at my face because I compared her to you, which wasn't very nice, Sam.
Well, she's not going to play a PPA. She's going to play an exhibition.
That's it? She's only playing the EXO, right? That's it?
Yes.
Okay.
And
because that was like an enormous...
Here's what I do know. Wes has been practicing with her a little bit, and he's like, she's way better than you think. Like, she knows what she's doing. She's decent. So I think she's going to... is that event next week? Her and McEnroe and Andre
it's this weekend.
I think she's gonna just be right in the mix. I do think that like Agassi's obsessed with this game and plays 5 days a week.
Yeah, that's
Agassi
awesome.
is way better than McEnroe, and then I'm gonna guess that Steffi and Sharapova are about the same.
Well, did you know that Agassi, like, first of all, he is a large investor in a company called Komodo, the paddle company, and then he just bought a portion of Duper.
Duper. No, he's all in on it and just obsessed with the sport. So like,
That's great to hear.
Andre and Steffi, I think, are going to dominate the match, but that's not because of Maria's play. That's because Andre's so much better than Max.
Like he's literally playing nonstop now, right? Like that's a legitimate thing.
Nonstop, and
That's
he's good.
fucking
Like
awesome.
I've played with him a handful of times. Like I could go out and have like a real practice with Andre, and it's worth my time. Like the guy's good.
That's cool. That's really fucking cool.
And I think Maria's going to be better than people like you guys think.
Yeah, I just hope it's not like a Jeannie Bouchard part 2 where she's playing the pickleball slam and it's like, oh my God, she doesn't know the rules, she can't dink, she's trying to speed up from, the transition zone. Like, what the fuck's going on? Okay. That's what we got.
Well, thanks, Sam. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, Sam, we appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. I'll see you guys in Mesa, I guess.